Now it's time to get the inside scoop on all the electricity going on in Mississippi Thunder Speedway. It's time for Thunder Talk with Dan Bailey, brought to you by Jailhouse Saloon. Now, here's your host, Dan Bailey.
Welcome to this week's edition of Thunder Talk. I'm Dan Bailey. Let me tell you, race fans, last Friday night we may have experienced a pivotal moment at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Not only for us race fans, but also for a specific racer. Joining us on this week's edition of Thunder Talk is the winner of last Friday night's Dirt Kings Late Model Touring Series Rumble by the River 40, Jake Timm.
Thank you.
Jake, you are a late model feature winner in a touring series, and what makes this even more amazing is the fact that last Friday night was your very first open late model event. Tell us if things are settling in yet. Has it really hit you that on your first night out in this open late model of yours, you picked up a feature win, battling against a who's who list of late model racers?
To be honest, it hasn't really sunk in yet, no. It's the last thing we kind of expected on the first night out with the car. We were just trying to get a good race in and not wreck anything and just get a good feel for the late model. Definitely didn't expect that outcome for sure.
What a lot of race fans may not understand is that you may not have been feeling real positive coming into the event Friday night, because you had that car out on the track Tuesday night for a practice session and things just weren't running right, were they?
No, we were hoping to try it out and get a feel for it on Tuesday, and we had a little bit of an issue with the carburetor and couldn't get it to quite run right, so we came back to the shop and figured it out, fixed it, and we were able to just make a few laps early Friday morning just to make sure everything ran right. And that's really all I had in the car. I can't thank everyone enough that makes this all possible. My family, all my great sponsors, my crew. It's kind of like a dream come true to be able to run a late model, and it's pretty amazing that you're able to run so well our first night out.
Well, let's kind of run through the timeline then of Friday. You said you were able to just kind of shake it down for a couple of laps Friday morning, but when the rest of the competition started showing up Friday afternoon in preparations for this big Dirt Kings Late Model Touring Series event, how were you feeling as a driver? I mean, you have a lot of experience over there driving your modified, etc., but how were you feeling anticipating this first start with your late model?
I was feeling good, just knowing that the car was running right and I was going to get a good go at it. I definitely wasn't expecting to do what we did. I was just kind of trying to focus on the modified, and because I obviously thought we had a better shot in that, to be honest, and just give the late model a go and, shake the bugs out and get a feel for it. But it obviously turned into a lot more than that.
It sure did. So here's what the evening was like. You did have a hot lap session, which is usually like 3 or 4 laps at most, right at the beginning of the evening. Then you ran your heat race. In that heat race, you crossed the line first, picking up a heat race win. Did you feel like during hot laps that you might have something for the competitors, or did it come during that heat race when you thought, wow, this thing is really working for me here tonight?
After the heat race, I was pretty shocked, and I kind of started to feel like, hey, I might have a shot at a decent finish tonight. Definitely didn't expect to win or anything, but we went up and redrew, and I ended up redrawing the pole, so that helped too. And I was just kind of hoping to go out, maybe get a top 5, or else be happy with the top 10 too. And I guess just was completely amazed at the outcome.
Did you feel as that 40-lap race went on, could you tell how much of an advantage you had over the competition? There was one caution in the event that tightened the pack back up, but did you have any idea what sort of distance there might be between your car and the competition? Were you driving like you thought they were right on your heels, or were you trying to stay comfortable through the first half, 3/4 of that main event?
I wasn't really sure how to play the whole tire game thing, so the first half of the race, I drove hard, but I tried to keep the car straight and be easy on my tires. And I guess it wasn't really till I got to lap traffic that I realized that I was really moving, because I was going by them pretty quick. And after the yellow came out on lap 22 or 23, I think it was, I kind of just went as fast as I could from there on out. I knew Jimmy was behind me and Lance, and I knew there was a lot of good cars right on my tail. So I just kind of drove as hard as I could from there on out.
You mentioned Jimmy and Lance. Jimmy, of course, being Jimmy Mars, Lance being Lance Matthews. Two drivers who are a who's who in the late model world. And, of course, the two-time and defending Touring Series champion was there as well. And the Rookie of the Year was there as well. And former feature winners were there. So this was by no means a slouch field that you had to battle with. When you started getting towards the end of the main, you mentioned the caution around lap 22 or 23 it was. But when you got into that final 5 laps. Did you struggle at all with, staying in focus? Sometimes drivers who are approaching their first win, they start to hear gremlins and things not working right, and they overdrive it, and they make all the mistakes that they didn't make leading up to it. Did you struggle with any of that, or was it really kind of smooth sailing right down to the end?
I didn't really seem to struggle with it that bad. I've been a victim of that in the past. Definitely have been leading some races and some bigger races too, and that's kind of got in my head. But for whatever reason, this one just didn't. I guess I just kind of stayed calm and collective and was able to run it like I did the rest of the race.
So at the end of this one of the things that the Dirt Kings Touring Late Model Series does is they wrap you up in a kingly robe and put you on a throne and take your picture with a crown on your head. How did that feel, celebrating in that fashion? That was a little different than a normal Victory Lane celebration.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I wasn't expecting that either. Definitely got some pretty cool pictures from it. Yeah, the whole Victory Lane thing, it was cool, but I was also in a rush to try and get back to my modified too, so I felt like I was kind of holding up the show for a little bit. But yeah, definitely it was a cool deal. I thank Dirt Kings for putting on a good show and doing all that, making it extra special.
Celebrations in Victory Lane are a lot of fun. You did mention early on when we first started talking here that there are a lot of supporters and sponsors and family members who are helping to make this late model experience a reality, as well as your modified success. Tell us, run through a list of everybody who's helping Jake Timm Racing for 2019.
First and foremost, I got to thank my dad for always believing in me and giving me these opportunities, and my family for allowing us to be out racing all the time and working on the car, and my girlfriend, all my crew guys, Mike, Kurt, Kinzer, Blaine, Luke, everyone that helps out. You really couldn't do it without them. And then all my sponsors, Herco, River City, R&R, Oak Ridge Fabrication, OFI Performance, Stone Machinery, J&S Cattle, MB Custom, Schaefer's Racing Oil, Horman's HVAC, Riverland Trucking, CPD Shocks, CMD Shocks, Fast Shafts, Drive Shafts. All of them together have helped make this possible and make the car fast and make sure we're able to keep going every week. Couldn't do it without them. You
showed not only those supporters, but also the competition that car is indeed fast. Have you started to make some plans for the rest of 2019 with this late model specifically, in addition to your modified racing?
Yeah, we're going to run it as much as we can, but at the same time, we're going to stay focused on the modified. We're hoping to run some races at Cedar Lake and some Challenge Series races, more soda stuff, maybe a couple of Dirt Kings races yet. We'll run like the Masters at Cedar Lake and just whenever they're close. We don't really want to travel too far and just kind of get our feet wet in it this year.
Well, actually, speaking of the modified, the very next night you came out and picked up a feature win with that modified. So 2 feature wins in 2 nights, one with the late model, one with the modified. Pretty good weekend for Jake Timm Racing, right?
Yeah, I can't complain at all.
Well, again, Jake, congratulations on that late model feature win last Friday night when the Dirt Kings Late Model Touring Series came to Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Congratulations on that modified feature win as well on Saturday. Thank you very much for joining us on this week's edition of Thunder Talk.
Thank you, Dan.
Don't forget, race fans, this Friday night, more dirt track action at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. You can find all the information about this week's event and all upcoming events for the 2019 season at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway website, MississippiThunder.com. You can also read about Jake Timm's groundbreaking late model feature win this past Friday night on the front page of the Mississippi Thunder Speedway website. Also, for those of you listening on the radio, an extended edition of this interview will be posted on the Mississippi Thunder Speedway YouTube channel. Make sure you check it out.
Come on down to the jailhouse saloon. Yeah, come on down to the jailhouse saloon.
The Jailhouse Saloon is where everyone wants to do time. Come on in and nab up some of the best homemade pizza around. The Jailhouse has happy hour weekdays from 2 until 6, free pool on Mondays, and lunch every day at a great price.
The Jailhouse Saloon where everyone wants to do time.